All right, this video is going to help us understand how to graph parabolas as a conic section. Now, this isn't graphing as a function. We address these a little bit differently. Conic sections are basically if you take two cones and put them on end, like you see on the screen here, and then you slice those cones, you create some cross sections. One of the various things that can be formed is a parabola. So that'll be the first of the conic sections that we take a look at. When we talk about things as conic sections, we talk about them more geometrically than we do as a function. So we have a definition, what we call a locus definition, or a geometric definition. All the points on the parabola, on this green line, are equidistant from a focus. So we want to focus in, equidistant from that focus, and the directrix, this blue line down here at the bottom. So again, that distance d1 will always be equal to d2 if we're looking at all the points on our parabola. The farther away we get from the focus, the farther away we get from the directrix. And if we get as close as we can to the focus, so notice the focus directly to the vertex here, the distance from the vertex to the directrix, again, will be the same as well. We call that the p-value, or the distance p, from vertex to focus and vertex to directrix. That'll be very important for us when it comes to our equation. One way to remember that is that's the distance p for the parabola. So sort of a parabolic distance, if you will. We have an axis of symmetry, just like all parabolas. It's going to run through the vertex, directly up through the focus, and again be perpendicular to that directrix. Now that's all well and good. It's just kind of a way to look at that as a conic section. But we define a conic section in equation form a little differently than we do a normal function. Mostly because if they're traveling left and right, such as this horizontal axis down here at the bottom, technically this wouldn't qualify as a function. It wouldn't pass the vertical line test. So we don't call them functions anymore. We sort of call it the conic section, or standard form of a conic section. If your parabola is opening upward, right, or downward for that matter, up or down, we say that it has a vertical axis of symmetry. Our equation is going to be x squared equal 4py. Again, that's if the vertex is at the origin. If the vertex is at the origin and you're opening to the right or left, we're going to be y squared equals 4px. So we're just switching those variables. You always travel in the non-squared direction, if that helps you any. If it's y squared, we're actually going to travel left and right. We're going horizontally in the x direction to get from focus to vertex to directrix. If we're x squared, again, we're traveling the non-squared, we're traveling the y direction. We're going to travel up and down to get from, again, directrix to vertex to focus. We're going to travel upwards or to the right if p is positive. We're going to travel downwards or to the left if p is negative. So again, that's really all that changes as far as traveling down and left. We're just going to change that to a negative p-value. Note in your directions, or in your equation, it's x squared equals 4py. Same thing, y squared equals 4py. So just kind of keep that in mind. Side note, a little bit of helpful information. If you want to graph these, you'll notice again we've got our y kind of mixed in. We've got y squared over here. They don't graph very well as a function on your calculator, but Desmos.com is always a great place to go. You can type it in exactly as written, and that might help you graph these a little bit. Speaking of graphing, let's look at a couple examples real quick. So again, in this basic form where the vertex is at the origin, right, if we have a y squared, again, immediately that tells me it's a horizontal axis of symmetry. And really the only other thing I need to know is what the p-value is. Remember that if it's y squared equals 4px, I can say that, 4p then equals negative 36, and p will equal negative 9. Well, that means if I graph this, again, we said horizontal axis of symmetry, it's a negative p-value, so we're going to go horizontally and to the left to get to the focus. So our graph is going to look something like this. Our focus will be exactly 9 units left, our directrix will be 9 units to the right, and we'll have a decent looking graph in that form. You can find more points if you want to. Again, it gets a little tricky with the squared, finding nice points, but we could pick a few other points to plug in. If we take that square root, we say plus or minus. Notice any number we plug in for x should get us 2 values for y. Again, thus it's not a function anymore. But if I did plug in numbers like -1 or -4, notice that'll give me positive radicands, positive numbers under the root. Then I'd be able to find a couple of nice points like -1, 6, and -1, -6, or -4, 12, -4, -12. Hopefully that'll help you with a little bit of accuracy, but again, not absolutely necessary. The most important thing is to have the focus inside the parabola with directrix outside as that line, perpendicular to the axis of symmetry, your axis of symmetry right now being the x-axis. Now, let's take a look if they get a little bit trickier. What happens when we take them and the vertex is not at the origin? Well, all we have to do there is think about our transformations. We've done this before. If x minus h is going to cause us to travel left and right, y minus k will cause us to travel up and down. And whether or not it's y squared or x squared, they kind of work the same way. Your vertex will always be h and k. Notice it's always opposite of what you think. X minus h will travel to the right. Technically, x plus h would take us to the left. That also takes our focus and our directrix, and that's going to move those around as well. So let's try one of these out, given the equation up top here. Remember, we always travel in the non-squared direction, so for x squared, or x minus 2 quantity squared, we're going to be traveling up and down. We also know that our vertex right now immediately is 2, -5, because we're x minus 2 and y plus 5. So vertex at 2, -5 on our graph here. Then, to get the focus, we need to know what that p-value is. Remember that distance from vertex to focus or vertex to directrix. The larger the p-value, the wider the graph. Well, if we take our 12 sitting there, remember that 12 technically right now will be equal to 4p, which means that p for us, very simply, is equal to 3. Well, that means that we're going to travel, again, we're traveling up and down with a positive p-value. That means that we're going to travel up 3 units to get to the focus. So our focus will be at 2, -2. We're going to change our y value, right? We're traveling up and down. And our directrix will be exactly that many units, so 3 units down from the vertex. So we're going to be y equals -8, a horizontal line down there. After that, it's just a matter of drawing your parabola. Again, I plotted a couple extra points. I just happened to find that we were at 8, -2, and at -4, -2. Note the symmetry going on there with that axis running right up the middle. But again, you don't necessarily have to do that. Just note that, again, a p-value at 3 is going to be a reasonably wide parabola. Reasonably wide parabola there. And there's how we graph. Again, you can use your formulas down here if you want to. I always like to reason my way through. If I know I'm traveling up and down, I know I'm changing the y coordinate to get from vertex to focus to directrix. But the focus will always be k plus p. If p were negative, that would obviously take us downwards. The directrix will always be k minus p. So wherever we are, right, since we're traveling up and down for a vertical axis, we're changing the y coordinates. Y equals, we're going to have a horizontal directrix moving up and down according to what that k value would have been. Let's look at one more situation. And it's one where it gets a little bit trickier. Note this form here isn't that nice formula we just had, what we would normally call standard form of a quadratic, or of a, parabola, standard conic form. We're kind of all written out. We call this general form. Now to get it to a form that's much easier to graph, we're going to have to go back to our old friend, completing the square. So what we would want to do is take our y squared and our y, and let's keep those on the same side of the screen. And then what we're going to do is move our 10x, so -10x, and our 49, so we're going to move that over here as well, and move those to the right. Remember that in order to complete the square, I know it may have been a while, but we take half the middle, because we want to end up with this perfect square, so we're going to say y minus 3. Well, in order for this to factor correctly to that, we technically need to add a 9 to this side. Because remember, y squared, 2 times -3 times y would have given us the -6y, and -3 squared would have been 9. But in order to keep that equation equivalent to what was above, we didn't have a 9 before. We need to add 9 to both sides. This will now factor correctly to our y minus 3 squared, our perfect square. And notice getting much closer to that standard form that we like for our conic sections. y squared immediately tells me that I'm going to be traveling either left or right. In that case, I've also got negative 10x over here, and it's going to be plus 40. We're going to factor out that negative 10. So y minus 3 squared. Again, a parabola opening left or right with a negative 10 in front here, x minus 4 inside. Well, in that case, since we've factored out that negative 10 is equal to 4p, and our p-value will be negative 2.5. Our vertex right now would technically be positive 3, positive 4, and actually our x is on the right, so that's actually the 0.43. Since our p-value is negative, we know we're going to be traveling, again, y squared, left and right. Negative takes me left, so it's a horizontal axis, and we're going to go to the left. Just good notes to make down there. So from 4, 3, I'm going to travel 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 1, 2, 3 units. And at 4, 3, we're going to put our vertex. Our focus is going to be 2.5 units left of that. So our focus would be, well, hey, 4 minus 2.5, so we're at 1.5 here. Right, so we're going to be a vertical line, x equals 1.5. Oops, sorry, no. Focus is a coordinate, though. It's not a line. Let me erase that real quick. So I got a little ahead of myself. Again, we're changing the x value, so I'm going to take 4 minus 2.5. I'm going to take 1.5, comma 3. So our focus will be at 1.5, 3. And then our directrix, the same idea, only now we're going to take it and subtract the negative. So again, 4 minus negative, or 4 plus, this is going to be at x equals 6.5. So we're going to go out to, this would be 5, 6, 7. We're going to plot our dashed line up here at 6.5, and our graph should travel in this general direction. Again, if you want a couple of easier points, I always recommend plugging in whatever the x value here, since we're graphing left and right, whatever that x value of the focus would have been, actually will get you a decent looking coordinate. In fact, it's kind of a nice relationship. If p is 2.5, or negative 2.5 for that matter, well, again, the distance from vertex to focus will be 2.5, but the distance directly perpendicular to that line, from here directly to your parabola, will actually be twice that distance. And you'll get a couple of nice easy points there. Again, the larger the p-value, the wider the graph, the wider that would become. So it's kind of a fun little relationship there. Again, completing the square is a great way to get yourself into this standard form, and standard form helps you find the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and maybe even a couple other easy points. I hope that helps you graph using conic sections to find parabolas. Have a great day.